Welcome to April 27th through May 1st, Day 3 of ESOL instruction for newcomers grades 6 through 8. This presentation is based on the grade 6 through 8 newcomer ESOL April 27th through May 1st, Day 3 paper packet. These paper packets can be picked up at meal distribution centers throughout Baltimore. The center closest to Highlandtown Elementary Middle School is John Rura Elementary School. The school address is 701 Rapola Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. This week's theme is curiosity. Look at the picture. What do you notice and wonder? Record your answers here. When I look at this picture, I notice an astronaut in space with Earth in the background. I wonder who painted this picture. Read each new word below. Read the sentence and look at the picture to understand its meaning. Look up the word in a bilingual dictionary to write it in your language. Note, not all the terms can or should be translated. This is a picture of the adjective curious. To be curious is wanting to know or learn something. The boy was very curious about how a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. This is the noun curiosity. Curiosity is a strong desire to know or learn something. Her curiosity about the insects led her to discover a new species of ant. This is a picture of the noun scientist. A scientist is a person who studies or has expert knowledge of one or more of the natural or physical sciences. One type of scientist is a biologist, which is a person who studies living things. This is a picture of the noun astronaut. An astronaut is a person who is trained to travel in a spacecraft. The astronaut went on a special mission to the moon. This is a picture of the noun crew, a group of people who work on and operate special equipment or a special vehicle. The boat crew won first place in the race. This is a picture of the noun space shuttle. A space shuttle is partly rocket-launched and reusable vehicle that is designed to 1. Orbit the Earth, 2. Transport people and things into space, and 3. Land on a runway when returning to Earth. The Space Shuttle Endeavour was launched from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida in 1992. This is a picture of the noun engineering. Engineering is the process of creating and building structures, products, and systems by using math and science. She studied engineering in college so she could learn to design better vehicles. This is the verb resign. To resign is to decide to leave a job or other position. The president of the bank resigned from her position after 20 years of service. This is the noun Peace Corps. The Peace Corps is an organization created by the United States government which sends volunteers to work in poor countries that need help. This is the noun NASA. NASA is the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, an American organization whose goal is to conduct scientific missions in the exploration of space. The theme of today's lesson is curiosity, particularly as it relates to science. Scientists are people who like to discover new things. They are curious about the systems that shape the world and the universe, and they apply their curiosity through observation and investigation of the things that interest them. Scientists want to contribute what they know in order to increase our understanding of the world and improve our lives. Today's readings focus on a famous female African American scientist named Mae Jemison, as well as the Space Shuttle Endeavour. Use the vocabulary in Part 2 to assist your comprehension as you read about Mae Jemison's life. Mae Jemison was the first African American woman to enter space. She was part of the crew of the Space Shuttle Endeavour in September 1992. Mae Jemison was born in Alabama in 1956. A few years after her birth, the family moved to Chicago, where Mae attended school. She was an excellent student and graduated from high school when she was only 16. She went to Stanford University, where she studied engineering and then to medical school at Cornell University. After becoming a doctor, May joined the Peace Corps in 1983, serving as a medical officer in the West African countries of Sierra Leone and Liberia. NASA selected Dr. Jemison for astronaut training in 1987. In her first mission aboard the Shuttle Endeavour in 1992, Dr. Jemison was Science Mission Specialist on the flight. Dr. Jemison is an excellent dancer and is interested in the theater. Some of her other hobbies are photography, skiing, and studying foreign languages. She speaks Russian, Japanese, and Swahili, as well as English. In 1993, Dr. Jemison resigned from NASA. She currently works on projects to advance technology and improve healthcare in developing countries. Mae Jemison is famous because she was the first African American woman in space. She was a well-respected astronaut who served as the Science Mission Specialist on the 1992 Endeavour mission. Beyond that, Mae Jemison is a person who has shown a great deal of curiosity about the world, as we can see, not just from her professional training, but from her interests and hobbies. Fill in the chart below about her using information from the text. The first line has been done for you. Here is the chart to complete. There have been several space shuttles built by the United States starting in the year 1981. Space shuttles were built for three main purposes. 1. To take satellites into space. 2. To take large parts into space to help build the International Space Station and to repair satellites. And 3. To be used as a science lab where scientists could conduct experiments. Now here are some quick facts about the Space Shuttle Endeavour. The country of origin is the United States. The cost to build was $196 billion. The first flight was from May 7 to May 16, 1992. The number of missions are 25. The total number of crew members over time are 173. The number of International Space Station dockings are 12. The last flight was from May 16 to June 1, 2011. The status is that it is retired, on display at the California Science Center, Los Angeles, California. The Space Shuttle Endeavour was made up of three main parts. These were the orbiter, the external fuel tank, and the solid rocket boosters. The orbiter was shaped like a large airplane with wings and a tail. This allowed the space shuttle to glide and land on a runway. This also allowed the reusable part of the shuttle to be very large. Many spacecraft which came before the space shuttle, like the Apollo, used parachutes when landing and landed on the ocean. People have said that the shuttle was very much like a pickup truck because of its usefulness. The shuttle was launched out over Earth's gravity and into space by three rocket engines on the back of the orbiter, along with the help from two long, white, solid rocket boosters. Fuel for the shuttle was stored in the large, usually orange, external fuel tank. Before the shuttle reached orbit, the solid rocket boosters were released and fell into the Atlantic Ocean, where they were towed back to shore for reuse. The external fuel tank was also released, but broke up and fell into the Indian Ocean and was not reused. Directions. See if you can answer the following questions about the space shuttle using the information in the text, along with the diagram. The first one has been done for you. 1. Which part of the space shuttle holds the fuel? The external fuel tank. 2. Which part of the space shuttle is shaped like an airplane with wings and a tail? The text states that this part, above, is very useful because it means the space shuttle does not have to land in the ocean with parachutes. What can it do instead? 3. The three main rocket engines at the back of the orbiter launch the shuttle into space. The rocket engines get extra help from the two blank. 4. Which part of the space shuttle falls apart, lands in the ocean, and cannot be used again? 5. Which part of the space shuttle lands in the ocean and can be used again? And here are the answers. 2. The orbiter is shaped like an airplane with wings and a tail. Instead of landing in the ocean, the orbiter lands on a runway. 3. These rocket engines get extra help from the two solid rocket boosters. 4. The external fuel tank falls apart and lands in the ocean. 5. The solid rocket boosters land in the ocean and can be used again. Now, use the text from Part 3 and the diagram below to put the events from the launching of a space shuttle into the correct sequence. Use the numbers 1 through 6. Number 1 has been done for you. Here is the text from left to right. Liftoff. Solid rocket booster separation at 50 kilometers. External tank separation at 120 kilometers. Orbital maneuvering system engine fire. Orbiter operational at 185 to 402 kilometers. Solid rocket booster splashdown at 260 kilometers from NASA Kennedy Space Center. Here are the sentences to sequence. After they separate from the space shuttle, the two rockets' boosters splash down in the ocean. The engines of the space shuttle fire and the space shuttle prepares to go into orbit. First, the space shuttle lifts off the ground with the help of the two rocket boosters. Next, the external tank separates from the space shuttle. Finally, the space shuttle reaches speeds of 185 to 402 kilometers as it heads into space. After liftoff, the two rocket boosters separate from the space shuttle. Directions. It was during the Endeavour mission that the first spacewalks were conducted from a space shuttle. One of these 4 spacewalks was the longest in space history, lasting up to 8 hours. Look at the astronaut's gear below. For this exercise, use what you know from real life along with your imagination. Circle 3 items in the drawing that you think are interesting. Then list them in the chart along with what you think they do. Afterwards, practice forming sentences about them out loud. Today's objective was to use your reading and writing skills to respond to text-based and personal questions. 1. What is one thing you learned from this lesson? 2. What are you still curious about? This is the end of the presentation. Please complete as much as the packet as you can if you have one. More presentations will be posted as they are created. Remember to be safe, stay 6 feet away from people when you are away from your home, and wash hands as often as you can. Goodbye for now, Mr. Ebeling.